Hi. Yeah, welcome to the Good Design Seminar and 11th edition of India Design Mark Awards 2022. Yeah, year 2022 because we have invited entries in last 1 year, and we have last for 2 days we have been going through all those entries and trying to understand whatever products we have, and we are deciding about to award the India Design Mark. So the award 2022 comes from there. Yeah. And as we all know, in today's hyper competitive world, good design drives the corporate revenue and delivers the profit. Yeah, it's evident, it's known now. Now people have started realizing the importance of design. The India Design Council has the conviction that design, innovation, and growth are linked. Yeah, and is committed to work towards making design in India made for the world.
With their compelling presentations. So on behalf of India Design Council, I welcome all of you who have joined us today. Many of you, I can see that we met last couple of days, in this platform of EEPC, IESS. And we have been collaborating last 5-6 years and, in many activities. So taking this opportunity, I'd like to also thank, Japan Institute of Design Promotion, who helped us setting up this MARC framework in the inception in 2012. And we also have a message coming in the next. Design is able to provide a lot of differentiating experiences and to its users. Many companies are using design to identify people's unstated needs and use this understanding to determine where to play and how to win in a responsible manner. The importance of design is felt, and many initiatives have come up both in government and the private initiatives manner. Also promoting design investments in the industry. Some of you also come from an industry sector, which is engineering industry sector, where design plays such an important role from various point of view. And also we have to look at how design also gets a tax benefit for its contribution in research. So Design Council has also a role to play. We are also looking at setting up design museums or design centers across the country to showcase the role of design in everyday life and every industry, both in India and abroad. So there are many such initiatives one would try to look at it with the support from government, industry, academia. Uh, look forward to the rest of the proceeding. So I would like to welcome Mr. Garodia to come and say a few words to the audience. Please, thank you.
Namaskar, Shri Praveen Nahar, Member Secretary, India Design Council and Director, National Institute of Design, Mr. Abhijit Bansod, Founder and Creative Director, Studio ABD, Mr. Alamelu Pasupathy, Business Ideator, Carborundum Universal Limited, Mr. Satish Gokhale, Director Industrial Design, Design Directions Private Limited, Mr. Balaji Rangarajan, Principal Designer NID, Dr. Kaustav Sengupta, Director Insights Visionext, Mr. S. Shivakumar, Head Industrial Design Royal Enfield, and Mr. Prakash Unnakal and Mr. Jitendra Rajput, esteemed jury members, distinguished guests present here, ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon to you all. It is a privilege and honor for me to welcome you all to the much desired and potentially very useful session on Good Design Seminar and India Design Mark Awards 2022. International Engineering Sourcing Show, IESS, which has become one of the signature shows for sourcing engineering products from India. Besides trade and investment in the engineering sector, IESS also acts as an ideal platform to promote R&D, innovations, new product development, technology transfer, etc. There is a rising demand to communicate the increasing role of design and innovations in the Indian engineering products. IESS is an apt platform for achieving this demand. This edition of IESS will also be notable with the celebration of India Design Mark Awards 2022. I wish luck to all the participants who are exhibiting their products this year. With engineering the future as its motto, EEPC India serves as the reference point for the Indian engineering industry and the international business community in its efforts towards establishing India as a major engineering hub in the future. EEPC India has had signed an MOU agreement with NID in the previous edition of IESS to promote industrial design amongst engineering fraternity. Various orientation programs under Design Clinic scheme were organized that has immensely helped the engineering fraternity to address their design related issues with the faculty on the spot. With India Design Council on board, the above cooperation area will get added thrust. In the newly evolving global scenario, acceptability of a product in the global market is now critically linked to its design. Further product design in India is emerging as one of the most serious challenges faced by the manufacturers and especially exporters in India. Therefore, introducing new and innovative industrial design has become quite essential. India Design Mark is relevant to all stakeholders, the industry, the consumer, the designer, as well as the society. It is the highest design recognition from the Indian government through India Design Council. To industry, India Design Mark is a business tool as it recognizes a well-designed product which is trustworthy, valuable, and preferred for its customers and is manufactured in a responsible manner. To the consumer, India Design Mark is a yardstick to ensure good value for money. For designers, India Design Mark is a reward of good work. Patronage of good design raises the standard of living. For society, India Design Mark is an enrichment tool as it promotes responsible ways of producing the goods and aids industrial development in the country. I am very hopeful and wish this session to create greater awareness amongst industry people on the need for good design and its commercialization to enhance acceptability of the product globally. With these few words, I once again welcome all the distinguished panelists and those present here to this seminar and wish a very successful session. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, Praveen. Moving forward, we are going to have a few presentations. And these are not ordinary presentations. These are design presentations, which are always a source of learning, source of inspiration. Every time we come across and every time we see Good Design Seminar, these are the most awaited presentations. So I would like to invite Shri Abhijit Bansod, founder and creative director of Studio ABD, for his first presentation. Yeah.
Yeah. Namaskar, everyone. Thank you so much for being part of design journey, which in our country has been on for so many years. And I think being a design student, which one, please? This one next. Yeah. So one of the things I always was fascinated by, what is Indian design? I mean, I was a very desi designer in NID, and I could understand only where I come from, how I lived. While as a service provider, we are capable of doing variety of work, from industrial design to transportation to everything. Looking inwards is something is very, very important. Just want to ask you, what desi mean to you? Any words when anyone says desi? Jugaad, fantastic, yeah. Indigenous, okay. Local, okay. Something? Fantastic. Lovely. I mean, see, that's the fun of India, right? I mean, one word has so many meanings. So, one of the amazing part of, there's another word which been holding Desi for since its inception, and it's called design. The first four alphabet are Desi in design, and it's really amazing that Diya Tale Andhera, if you understand Hindi, that and we don't know what we are, what it means to us, and just imagine that if yoga, Ayurveda, Bollywood, and curry can go global, and now Natu Natu. Why not Indian design? And it's very difficult. I mean, sometimes I keep thinking why we are like this, why we are so apologetic about who we are, where we come from. Is it a Western education? Is it the colonial influence? Is it sometimes it's just making monolithic country out of fantastic regional cultures? What does it really brings us to this level that we never identified power of Desi in design? So good design is, and one of the sort of sad thing is that Desi could never afford design, and design could never look at Desi because it was too close to it, And that's something we need to change with whatever way we are, whether it's creative writing, and some of the fields are doing excellent work, in terms of regional movies. I find it's really amazing that what kind of original craft, original storytelling, original products are emerging. So I had gone to Paris in 2000. So there's a couple of stories, this is why it happened. And I bought empty can of, just an empty can. It was some around 3 euros, that equivalent. And that can says Air of Paris, Just the empty can. You're just selling Air of Paris, can you imagine? And which is so amazing, and we're not able to sell our 5,000-year-old history, to the world. And that's something led to sort of whole idea of I see design, but I see Desi first in design. So that's some initiative of, it's just this really thought of what it really means. Uh, and it can be sort of, really seen in different languages and still it means the same. Uh, you can identify probably one of your language in this. And that's so much India that there can't be even a one word can define design. We are sort of, multi-story, happening at same time. So this is a journey of discovering, finding facets of Indian design, which is, I think most likely when we say Desi, it takes you back nostalgic, but it's not that Desi. It's about how it will influence the future. When we will have our own Scandinavian design philosophy, Japanese design philosophy, can Jugaad be a design philosophy with some tools and capabilities added to people? How do we really translate this into a framework which everyone becomes design? On street, when you see bad footpath, everyone says it's such a bad design it is. The word design and that sort of push from people has to really happen. Then only life will change. When Desi in design will be found, the street life will change. That's where we'll have a sort of pride in what we do. So there are four sort of stories into IC, Desi, and design. Sort of, we are never definite, country. 10:30 we'll meet. It's never 10 o'clock, Platform number 4 ki gaadi 5 pe aane wali hai, I mean, life is like that. So we have to accept the way we are. Hence, you will find names like Future Forward. These are all tape recorder buttons. I've just taken kind of nostalgic, elements from that. So, aage se piche jana bhaiya, and that happens very often. That means if you really translate, you have no idea what is aage se piche, and then piche se aage aana, then sort of the pause is about pause and reflect on who we are and why we are like this only. We have accepted life that we are like this only, but why? And what's the reason for that? Is there a positive note in that? Is there some improvement in that? That's sort of whole story of ISD. I'm going to tell another short story. So first, my foreign trip was in US and backpacking in 99. Happened to land in Philadelphia because you always have cousins in Philadelphia, So, so you have to go and visit your cousins in US. And when I went there, I visited, there's nothing else to do, the Liberty Bell, And this person was talking about Liberty Bell with such passion. And of course, the mugs and coffees and the pens and all happened, t-shirts before you even enter that. He said, this is 200-year-old, now must be 230-year-old, okay? And it was really fascinating that how much passionately somebody's talking about their country's assets and icons. While coming back, I realized that I played my entire childhood in Bhosla ruins, which was 250 years old, okay? We didn't even know. So I grew up in Nagpur, near airport. This place, and this was the Bhosla period ruins, and after that there was British barracks. So all our childhood was in this barracks where first time we saw Western commode, okay, they're broken. And then of course the discussion went on how it really happens, how do you sit on this one? And really discovering that, we had this 250-year-old lake, just 3 minutes walk from my home. Entire generation learned swimming in this lake. So that's really where we, really grew up on. Then just moving forward, fast forward, aage se piche, I'm going. I graduated, I joined Titan in 1999. And I could only think of how can I get Indian stories into Titan, which that time watch industry was very Swiss influenced industry, and I was too young. So 2001, I did a collection called Heritage Collection, and it was inspired from key monuments of India, and it was sort of capturing the journey of design, architectural stories from, from Hindu influence to the colonial influence, and in between, Islamic and Rajputana, the whole journey of that. So I designed this collection in 2002. And I kept on showing this to the team, and Bhaskar was MD that time. And every time I will show, he said, no, not this year, next year. So 2006, he said, we're going to launch this. And I said, what happened in 5 years? Really amazing line, and I will never forget. He said, now India is ready for India. And it was such a deep connect because a lot of people traveled abroad. We could see India influence on windows and India influence on food. Uh, and that's how the whole collection of heritage started with, okay, I'm just going to go one slide forward. So this is the first one. I think we saw a lovely stepwell interpretation today from Zoya. And so this was the first watch, which starts with the Hindu philosophy of architecture, which is mandala. And this is the interpretation of stepwells in the watch. And it kind of just captures the very beauty of that. And this had a series of watches. Oops, sorry. Oh, it just goes forward. It's not going back. How do I do? I've given out all my cards now. I can go home. Okay. So this was capturing Mahabharata and the war of Kurukshetra. And this was, it was very difficult to make these dials. These are just, mind you, just 40 tiny dials to get that kind of a thing. There was a watch inspired from Stambha, Jantar Mantar. We had Lakshmi Vilas Palace. So it was really capturing Jharokas. And it's a series. I'm just showing you a couple of them to sort of how that really well. It did really well for Titan. It did really well for me. But so moving forward, then the next was sort of building a luxury watches in Nebula, which is a gold watches. And story was that if we could do palace collections, because if we won't do, maybe Cartier will do it before you. And then we'll say, wow, Cartier saw our world so nicely. And we love Western, confirmation or appreciation. I tell you, you're so good, it never works, but you are very good. And then life is done that day, for us. So, thank you to Queen, we love her. So I traveled, I was fortunate to travel to 19 palaces in India. And there are very few living palaces, and most of them you'll find in North, in Rajasthan. Living palaces mean the energy from that period still continues. And so series of them, this was a very premium luxury watches. Unheard of that we're going to sell watch at 5.5 lakhs rupee. And it was just amazing. So this was Rambagh Palace, Queen Gayatri Devi's place. Very beautiful place. Very warm, very welcoming. It's not intimidating you. If you go to Umaid Bhavan, it's like a Supreme Court, you're paying money, things like you're walking in and not going to come out of that, It's scary for me at least, Udaipur Lake Palace is very romantic. And fourth was Falaknuma in Hyderabad, which is very, very beautiful again. So there were King's Watch and Queen's Watch, and this is the King's Watch, which was, there's a polo bar in Rambagh Palace. And that polo bar where after the polo matches, all the princely people come together and sort of really celebrate that, and had a very beautiful fountain there. And to sort of translate that into a solid gold watch, it had a very beautiful Swiss movement because, we could make the mechanical movement. This was limited edition, so each only 49 variants for each. My favorite one is the Queen's Watch, which is inspired by the fountain in the courtyard in Rambagh Palace. Which is really beautiful layer of white gold, blue treated diamonds. There are 200 diamonds on this watch. It came in two variants, rose gold and the white gold. Again, we didn't know who's going to buy, but it was sold all the collection like in 6 months. People just came to change the strap and they say the cash pada hai car mein main leke ja raha hu watch. That's how the country is. You don't know who's going to buy what. So that's the moment. In some way, I feel it's just sort of part of this little discovery and started writing about why we like this and reflecting on the whole history of your the one you see on the left down is the budget bag. How budget bag changed in last 70 years. And why do we choose something like this? So from daily life to questioning why we are like this, is a journey of really finding what I see design and find what they see in that, including Bollywood and include Tollywood. You know, there's some amazing products which became part of our life. Especially PR and product when it started, then Umbrella from Avara to, Friends Cap from Maine Pyar Kiya. So there's a lot of influences, and that's how pop culture, that movies do rule, in that. So that's about it from little story from me, and thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you, Abhijit. Thank you, Abhijit. It's, I think, inspiring, I should say. Yeah, very interesting and taking us back to the time which belongs to us. Thank you so much. Now I'd like to invite Alamelu. Okay. Alamelu Pashupati is a business ideator with Carborundum Universal Limited. Please come. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Alamelu. I have a weird designation. My designation is called Business Ideator. I am a designer from NID, trust me. Okay. I think this job that I did with Carborundum Universal, it's a consultative job, and I was very clueless of what I'm going to do there. Okay, so they said the job is in Chennai. I'm from Chennai. I said I'll just take it. Okay, but instead of having a direct design experience working with the studio, this job over years have taught me what is the difficulty between the design community and the business community, and where is the bridge and the gap which is missing. Okay, so over years we haven't studied any fixed strategies, but we've tried to work hands-on. You know, how to communicate design to somebody like a laborer who's working in the shop floor, or to somebody like a leader in the management. Generally, it's very easy to start at the management level because they understand design, they know NID, they've read all the books, they want their organization to be innovative. There's always a raise on the number of patents you file every year or the design registrations you make. Okay, but when it trickles down to the manager level, the whole idea of design gets lost. And at the lower level, it's very, very difficult to actually achieve the quality of design that has been designed and created. So that's the area which I largely work in. When Praveen said, just talk about good design. So, am I doing it right? Yeah. Yeah, I was given 10 minutes time and I was asked to speak all about good design being a key element that will determine the future of manufacturing in India. I want to just go one step a little more and say good design is not just going to make a difference in manufacturing, it is going to make a difference in the entire ecosystem of the business by itself. Right from identifying your customer, I don't know, the audience are very experienced in what I'm saying, but design is going to have an impact not only on the design of the product, the entire ecosystem of your business will have an impact on the design. I'd like to quote my favorite professor, Colin Mayer here. It's popular these days. He has written the book Prosperity. What is the purpose of business? The purpose of business is to produce profitable solutions. We were fine with it 20 years back. Okay. Then came this factor into picture. Profitable solutions, but for what? For the problems of the people. But now we are putting the planet also into place. Okay. So creating profitable solutions for the people and the planet seems to be the primary goal of running the whole business. And I like to use the word profit more often because I think making money makes the whole business more sustainable. The organization runs and things moves on more smoothly. So design is not just about aesthetics and getting a user-friendly product to the customer. I think design will also contribute significantly to the profit levels of the organization. Now, to achieve profit in an organization, what all do you need? A good marketing team, a good accounting team, a good commercial team, somebody to optimize your production. I think the key thing is you need a good design team. Okay, design is a critical tool that can enable you to achieve this. Like what most of the earlier speakers were telling, all the other areas that we are looking into, your logistics, your product optimization, the kind of material sourcing, everything is optimized and saturated, And I do run a business where we procure and do interior, turnkey interiors. There's hardly any difference between the vendors that are supplying to us. The price difference, the quality difference, the differentiator is getting very, very less. The only critical differentiator in business today is design, not only in your products, but also in your process, also in the way you run your HR, and also in the way you run and how you interact with your customers. Good design is a solution to great problems. So what makes good design? I think we don't have to delve a lot into it, but just for continuity of my conversation, I'd like to read this. Let's listen to what IMARC says. Good design has product excellence in form, function, quality, safety, sustainability, and it's usable, durable, aesthetically appealing, and socially responsible. I think yesterday when some of my friends and colleagues were talking, we have around 1,000 design schools in and across India, okay? And we have wonderful designers working in different domains. The skill set for design is not deficit here, okay? So I think the focus here is more on what problem do I pick and how do I work on it and how do I actually materialize it? That seems to be more, how do I use design as a tool to materialize it? So we know good design, and we're here to solve world's biggest problem and be profitable also. Sorry. Sorry, I have a bad throat. Okay. What are the big problems that needs good design solutions now? I'm a big fan of JK, so I would like to quote him right now. To ask the right question is far more important than to receive the answer. Okay. So let's look into, as a business community, if we're trying to address some issues that or real problems for the people on the planet today and make it profitable, my first reference goes to the UN Sustainable Goals list. Okay. It is quite exhaustive. I think it's not very visible right now. So you're looking from poverty to healthcare to education to environmental sustainability to undersea life. So these 17 goals in the last year has really established higher standards in the industry. Okay. So when we work with people at the higher managerial level, every CEO refers to, what are the new things that I want to do today? So it's not more about trend forecasting or it's not about, it's like, just refer the UN SDG goals. Let's do something on it. Okay. So these seems to be the bigger problems that needs to be addressed. But the key point here is these problems have to be addressed using design as a tool. Okay. That's where it's going to make a huge difference in the end product. Though these are general, with my working experience in interior design and some product development projects, these are some of my pet issues that I think are some of the critical areas that we can work. First, I would like to take a minute or two on being space aware. Okay. If you see the houses and the apartments today, they're becoming smaller and smaller. Okay. Now, you have a 3 BHK. We all do one wardrobe in every bedroom. Okay. It's a must to do a modular kitchen. You have to have a sofa and a dining table. The moment you put all this inside a 1,300 square foot house, you hardly have any space to walk around. So a home has become a product display center. Okay. So we put all the products around and walk around in between the products. Now, I think our design, it also has a lot of Western thing. It's not very desi, How many of us actually eat on a dining table? Not many, okay? Do we really need a television in the middle of the hall? The content is changing. What I watch, my husband doesn't watch. What my children watch, I can't watch, okay? So why do we still have a television in the middle of the table? Our wardrobes are 2 feet in depth. How many of us actually hang clothes on the entire wardrobe, okay? So the products inside a home have to be rethought on what we actually need and not on the basis of what is already existing that we can just pick up. Okay. There's a huge gap in this area where the dimensions of spaces are changing today drastically. I always get this favorite story. We do the entire project, we finish it. A sofa is mostly a bought out items. We don't customize it. The customer moves into the house, buys the sofa. We get a call definitely after a week. Ma'am, the sofa is not fitting in. Okay. So the products today we have, and the interior products especially, are not made for our Indian homes, the kind of culture we have and the sizes we are looking at. Yeah, one more area which I'd like to talk about is the product versus purpose. 66% of the customers spend money on multiple products that only partially resolve their issues. Let's say we make an appliance list before we design a kitchen, okay? So everybody wants all their appliances to be handy, switched, powered on. They even say like, I don't want to move my mixer. It has to be right there. It has to right work. So we make an appliance list. You have a mixer, you have a juicer, you have a toaster, you have an air fryer. All these appliances do one small job, a small defined purpose, but it only partially solves their need. Okay, so the purpose of the product is not as intensive as the space and the volume that particular product occupies inside a space. And one more thing, when you talk about the word product life cycle, okay, we always talk about why the product is created, when it is created, how it is created, is it in the market, is it selling well, and we're de-shelving it. Okay. But what happens to the product after it is de-shelved? How will I send it out? If I had to put it very in a layman's language, how will my product die? It doesn't die. It goes directly to the landfill, And with multiple material usage in the products these days, let's say you take an example of an umbrella, okay? Umbrella has a fabric sheet on the top. You have metal pins. You have plastic handles. With so many material elements going inside, it's difficult to just end the life cycle of the product. I think as a business community and design community, we have to think the life cycle of the product till where it dies, not till where it leaves the shelf of the shop. The next one I'd like to dwell a little upon is environmental sustainability. It's a very broad area. A lot of people have covered, and it's a dire need of the day today. My favorite stand-up comedian is George Carlin. I'm not sure how many of you have seen one of his videos where he talks about saves the trees, save the bees, save the whales. Okay, so he makes a very sarcastic remarks about how, as human beings, we are so self-confident that we say that we want to save the planet. Okay, we actually can't save the planet. Planet is a self-sustaining entity. As the dinosaurs disappeared, one day, maybe the human race will disappear. Just as a joke. Okay, I think the point here is we have to be responsible in the way we are using our resources. Okay. Now, let's say we're producing a lot, we used all our raw material, there's a lot of waste accumulated. So is this a bad scenario? Maybe it is bad, but looking on the other hand, I think our landfills will become our future mines. Okay, so you have mines from where we've been taking out ores and raw materials. In future, the landfills we have will become the source of raw material for us. And products and economies will develop from the raw material sources that are taken from the landmines. Of course, I don't have to talk much about reusability, repurpose, and all that. See, one major problem some of the companies I work with is all of them have one typical waste product, which is a byproduct of their production, always kept on mounts. For example, let's say the gypsum plaster in the cement industry, or I work with a company where they make sandpapers. So the cut trim edges of the sandpapers lie down as tons and tons. Okay, so this one, though it is not very boldly spoken out because of garment pressures or regulations and all that, this is a huge area where I think we still have scope to work and develop new products out of. It could be seen as waste. It could also be seen as raw material available for free. If we go to the Sriperumbudur stretch in Chennai today, and if we enter each one of the factories there, okay, and if you're saying, I am willing to take this waste out, okay, they'll probably pay you money for that. If at all I can develop a process to use it as a raw material. So I think in a sustainability point of view, it's not about us saving the earth, it's about us being more responsible and keeping our place more cleaner for our own well-being. And I think waste need not be seen as a bad thing. Waste is going to be the source of money very soon. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to talk about being context sensitive, but Abhijit is made such a wonderful presentation on this. Yes, I am a big Desi fan too. Okay, so I think we have to be little more Indian on, it's a little more whatever country you belong to on, your design, your way of living. We're still very confused, we, moving from the Western space and being us is always questioned. I saw this interview, the journalist is asking one of these yogis, okay, why do you look so different? You have such a long beard and long hair, why are you like this? So the yogi tells to the journalist, I'm normal, you shaved everything, okay? So, being Indian and being normal is also looked down upon, but I don't want to continue and close the charm on Avijit's presentation. I'm moving on this. See, so far I've been talking about some areas that we can work on. I want to touch upon three psychological, thought process that comes, that's a problem today, okay? The first is my favorite word, abundance. See, today I'm a mother of 2 kids, okay? The problem here today is not a lack of anything, it's abundance, My children, though we try to restrict things and try to streamline and not get them anything as they ask, but still there is abundance, A half-broken pencil is not a problem. I can just throw it away, okay? So material abundance is a different issue. On the other side, the information abundance, decision-making abundance. The choice here today, let's say I'm sitting on my table and trying to design an innovative chair. Whatever I do, somebody's already done it. It is there, okay? I think the critical part today is, the difficult acts today are to decide, to choose, and to focus on what has to be done, okay? So that in this era of abundance, someone who can focus and decide that this has to be done and executed becomes a very critical skill. And one more thing I would like to just get on notice is choice, clarity, and action. Generally, when I work with corporates, they throw us a problem. Okay, so this is happening in the shop floor. The production is going down like this, like this, like this. Can you do something? Okay. So the moment we do it, the thing is, for example, we had a problem like the sandpaper rolls, when they fall, they get dented. Okay, they're like big paper rolls. So how do you avoid this dent? The first study doesn't go to the shop floor and not seeing how the dent happens. It's usually like the other company has done this, let's buy and try it, okay? Or this has happened like this in US, or the China guys are doing like this. So I think it's not about, we should not make choices based on what is already available. I think the action should be based on the thought clarity of what is happening at that particular scenario. Yeah, the last one is, I think we cannot keep design as a separate element inside an organization. I think we have to create a culture of innovation in the organization. Mr. Bhaskar was telling me yesterday, you go to a corporate and tell design, they'll be very skeptical. But the moment you say the word innovation, they'll be very accommodative, okay? There's not much of difference, but yes, I think design can make a very huge difference, not only in the appeal of the product, but in the entire way the organization is run, okay? And this can only happen if we can create a culture of innovation in that. In few of the experiments we did with in some of the industries in Sri Perumbudur here, we were working with laborers, contract laborers who actually assemble things at the shop floor, move things. So now how do you tell them what design is? Okay, so how do you tell them what creativity is? After a lot of deliberations, we couldn't explain the word to them, newness, innovation, all. So one of the team members came with an idea, like, let's just throw art, it's not a competition per se. We had tables where we had these multiple colors and non-traditional methods to apply colors. We had some of the sandpaper and some of the products that make in white sheet. The amount of response that came was very high. The lady who cleans the shop floor, or a person who is 60 years old, knows only Tamil, comes from a very low economic background, they enjoyed applying colors and creating abstracts. Okay, so if you have to get down design till a lower level where they'll be open to new things. Okay, I think there are a lot of activities that can be planned to break that cold thing at the top. So I think it's not about design as a separate department. Design has to become a culture in the entire organization. Just as a conclusion and a deem process. Generally, if you have, when CEOs change, when CEOs of the company change, we usually ask, what background does he come from? If he's a marketing background guy, the marketing department will get more favors, okay? If he's a finance guy, then the strategy of the company will be very different. But I think very soon you should have a design person heading an entire organization. I think the performance will see a large difference if, not exactly a designer, but if a design mind is at a very strategic level, okay? So I would like to quote Thomas Watson at last. Good design is good business. So there's no good business without good design. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alamelu, for your insightful presentation. I think it's very important to understand how design affects not only the desirability, which is usually the first sort of like level of intervention where we try to understand who are users, but also to see how it can become feasible, the engineering part of it, and the most critical one is the viability of how design is going to impact us, how it is going to help us to sustain our business and grow. So thank you so much. Now I'd like to invite Shri Satish Gokhleji. And every time you meet him, I never get a chance to meet him very often, but every time I meet him, I learn something new is happening, which he has initiated in the area of industrial design, in the area of machines, medical devices, and a lot of like social innovations, which he has taken up. Please, sir. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Mr. Garodia, Praveen, for having me over. It's actually a pleasure to always come back. I think this is the third time we've come with EEPC, right? It's quite interesting. And I have a very vested interest in actually helping out as a jury member. I get to learn. I think that's something very important. Also know what is happening across in India as well as the world. Can we have the presentation on? So I think Alamelu has already talked a lot on what is design. You also heard from Abhijit. There are some slides which I'm just going to run through slip. But what I'll do is I will share some case studies of hardcore engineering products. Oh, this is all gone out. Okay. So I'm going to quickly run through this because Alamelu, he's talked about the AC, she's talked about design in general. So what is good design? You know, to me, it has to be simple, it has to be functional, it has to be safe to use, safe to manufacture, safe to transport, safe to install, safe to maintain, everything. Easy to produce, understand and use, easy to maintain, delightful, but the most important part is good design should also make it desirable. You should feel like wanting it, possessing it. You should feel like, you know, that pride of ownership has to be there with the product. So it's an intersection of form, function, engineering, aesthetics, technology, and very important is the business viability. Just because it's a good design, you can't price it 10x or 50x. You know, designer product. I'm against that. Design is actually something which tries to get the cost lower. So, you know, everybody, invariably we work a lot with engineering companies. Everybody says we want to do value engineering, cost cutting. You know, design is what actually creates value. So it's not about how do you change the wall thickness or let's say the weight of the product to reduce the price, but how do you create value? Apple is a classic example. You know, the BOM cost between Apple and Samsung's best phone today is 1,400 rupees or so. So what we work on is we work on products, graphics, interfaces, but the most important part which is normally neglected is the perceptions. Actually, I'll not go through all this because it's already spoken. Okay, I'll just directly come to a case study. So recently, during pandemic, we started a project. It's a battery-powered rescue buoy, or we call it a water drone, for a client based out of Visakhapatnam and Calcutta. We met the client only once. And this is a completely Atmanirbhar Bharat project. So we also received the ADEX award in Lucknow. So initially it was in fiberglass. It's a water drone, so you can drop it into the sea and remotely take it to the person who's drowning. He grabs it and we grab him back to the shore. So, you know, initially as designers, we start conceptualizing. I'm going to run through them because I think the video itself will be more than enough. You'll see the scale also in the video. So these are all our initial concepts. The idea is, I don't know, how many of you have seen these WhatsApp videos which, you know, they throw a buoy in the water and take it to the person who's drowning? Has anyone seen any of them? They never show something beyond. If there's a tide and it capsizes, what happens? Nobody shows that. So in the video, you'll see something. We will be, rather right now, we're the only company or the product which self-rights itself. In case it capsizes, it becomes straight. And it's no rocket science, it's 6th standard physics, buoyancy. So initially we thought, our thing on the top, what you're seeing is a hollow part, buoyancy, it will turn upside. But in case of emergency, what if somebody does not make it straight and tighten? You're talking of life and death, you're talking of the golden hour, you're talking of less than a minute to save someone. So we decided to have something which is completely fixed and not which is collapsible. And so quickly run through and directly go to the videos. So since we got the IDEX award in Lucknow, we also got the involvement of DRDO. So this was purely designed for the Indian Navy with the naval team working with us from DRDO Visakhapatnam. But the challenges were, I don't know how many of you know what I'm sure people know what rotational molding is, but the criticalities when you have two hulls. So this is like a catamaran. So when you have a two hull, left and right, I'm sure you all know wheel balancing issues, right? If the wheel is unbalanced, the car tends on one side, right? The same thing happens even if there's a delta of 5 or 6 grams in our product, this thing left and right, the craft steers to that direction. So we also had to invent a lot of new things in the manufacturing. I don't know what happened. Oh, okay. So this was almost towards a final version. So we have a jet. Can you see those two black things? That's a high-powered jets, lithium-ion powered unit. These are actual machined aluminum molds and rotationally molded parts. So you can actually see the scale once you'll see the video. This is made out of HDPE material. And this is the actual production unit now, craft. And so what the thing on the top does is, in case it turns upside down, like a turtle, it uprights itself again. And we're the only product in the world. And another thing which is very important is, the client had just said, we want a rescue drone, but can you put the rescue drone to different applications? So just by, adding a box, this application is now ideal for NDRF. In case of floods, I can actually ship, medicines, clothes, food to areas which can't be reached by, normal people in the thing. We've also created a beautiful, simple product. Right now we are in the molding stage where we can actually clean water bodies. And here we don't require jets, so we've actually removed the jets and we've got thrusters, because you want slow speed. And we're currently just molding it. It's like a football post. I don't know why it's not. Can you click on the screen? So, okay, so we are competing with a normal buoy, which you will always see, right? So in case of somebody is drowning, they'll throw this from a ship. There it goes, and our chap goes immediately there. So we can steer in to the person who's actually drowning. He grabs it and we take him back to the shore. And okay, I don't know why it's not working. Okay. Oops. Okay, so this is with the Coast Guard. We've actually sold about 132 units to the Indian Navy. We have a good amount of orders from Coast Guard and NDRF now. We've also exported first 2 units to the Malaysian Navy. And this is now used for training NDRF and all the Indian Navy people. So even in case of there's an aircraft which lands into the sea, so they actually make inflatable 1:1 size aircrafts to train. I think we can go ahead. This is just the news part. But imagine something like this. So our drones are actually helpful to save people. And this can drag about 3 people at the same time, but 6 people can hang on to it to save their lives. That is more important. So I would proudly say we're the world's fastest. We've achieved 7 meters per second. That's almost 13.5 or almost 14 knots speed. Okay, I think I'll go ahead and see if there's, okay. I don't know why it's not working, but imagine there's somebody drowning, so we just drop it and you steer it to him. So typically, our battery lasts for about 25 minutes because in 25 minutes, either he's drowned or you got him back. Because your sight of vision is not more than 3.54 kilometers. So typically, if we find somebody who's unconscious, we would deploy a sailor or a person along with the craft. That's why minimum 3 people can be taken to this. Okay, this is all shot on a normal Oppo phone because there were no official professional photography allowed then. But we are in the process of doing that now. I'll go ahead just to show you the beauty of how it inverts. Just click on this. So you can see the speed, and you'll also see some waves which will make it'll always float upright. Or if it turns, it'll always turn upright. That's more important. And it weighs 16.5 kilos. So we also deploy this from a helicopter in case at mid-sea, it's a choppy sea, there's no way you can access the person. So this is deployed through a helicopter. So all our drop tests happened at 35 meters. But the norm is you go down 10 meters and then drop it. But destructive test is at 35 meters. So it's been extremely successful. We've had about 100 drops now. And this was launched in during the Defense Expert. So we did this drop at Sabarmati River also. But more important is to see it on waves. It's a very happy looking guy, and there it goes. Yeah. So, everybody knows Dharamkata, way bridges, right? They're all boring, literally no interaction with the driver and the weighing and things like that. So a client came to us saying that we want to create a very high-tech, high-end, unmanned way bridges. So, because most corporates now have way bridges within their premises itself. So Tata Steel, cement companies, you name it, iron ore companies. So initially, all way bridges look like this with a typical W beam and very mundane looking. So what we created was a very interesting a railing system. Because invariably in India, people overload the vehicles and it goes beyond the body line. So it grazes the sides. So we've created retractable bumpers on the side which tend to move on the side. When the truck goes, it goes back in its own position. So it's like a shape memory, just a compression spring, no rocket science. So a lot of times we believe in doing very simple things and solve slightly complex problems. And so these are completely rotationally molded bumpers. So, they take care of better impacts as well. And you'll see an entire concept of a tire tread on it to relate it to trucks visually. Product is doing extremely well. I think since we launched it, we've had now 300 plus installations. And this is completely modular. So, there's a tag, like your fast tag. The truck comes in empty, it weighs, and when it's going out, it tells you, okay, this is the weight of the produce you're carrying back. And you get a printout, and that's it. We've also done the entire interface. This is what it looked earlier, and now it's a very smart interface. Extremely simple for the drivers to understand also. It's called weighing intelligence now. Doing well in the market. Yeah, the third one is very interesting that a client manufactures these carding wires for textile industry, and each spool is 600 mm, and the minimum weight is 48 kilos, maximum weight is 83 kilos. So typically the wire is such that it should not entangle itself. So because the minute the teeth get entangled. When you're unwinding it onto a DOF or a big cylinder, the teeth bend, and that's a problem. Then you have to keep straightening the teeth. So as the wire is wound on the spools, they always kept vertically in the factory. But what happens when you put it in a wooden box with this side up? Nobody really in India cares about this side up signage. So typically all the wires entangle, and with all the road conditions in India, it's always a difficulty. The irony is, look at this. My client used to ship it in metal drums, and they used to put a sticker saying that store it like this, ship it like this. Nobody will ever follow. So we decided to do something. Okay. So we decided to do a product which can't be kept horizontal. So as simple as that. And we also decided that, once the industry receives these drums or wooden crates, they just get scrapped. So where is the value to it? Where is the visual branding of the client? So we've created a product which is completely molded, and this is 100% reusable. So I have a product in my factory which has traveled one way 480 kilometers 52 times, and then it's reached Pune. And besides getting minor scratches, no physical fracture, the product is doing very well. And we've designed it such that you can't lift it with single hand. You have to have two people, because in India, frankly, a lot of industries don't bother about so-called beldas or coolies. They'll say, okay, lift it. Poor guy is lifting 70 kilos on his own and ruining his back. And it's also such that when you keep it down, your hands don't get jammed in between. That's a very important factor, because you're not seeing when you're putting something down. Oops, I don't know what's. So just showing you before and after. This costs, let's say, 1200 rupees. This is almost 4,500 rupees, but this has traveled 50 times plus. So you're talking of green packaging. In today's day and age, packaging is going to be very, very important. Wood is almost going to get obsolete very soon. So we're actually working on alternates for wood now. So single drum and two drums. Yeah, in short, it's not value engineering, but value creation. I think it's exactly 11 minutes. Thank you. So I tell this to all industries, saying that should be treated as an investment and not as an expense. I think that's the biggest mistake. Unfortunately, we Indians are very good at manufacturing, but we have excellent followers. That ability to take risk, karke dekhte hai, is still lacking. And that is where I think we are lacking. Thank you.
Thank you, Satish. And I think I was not wrong. Yeah. So very, very interesting presentation. I think very interesting case studies and very relatable, I would say, with the industries. Yeah. Moving forward, we would like to invite our eminent speakers now for a panel discussion on good design practices in industry. And I'll request Balaji Rangarajan, Principal Designer NID, to moderate this session. And the other speakers are Shri Arun Garodia ji, Chairman EEPC, Dr. Kaustav Sen Gupta, Professor NIFT and Director Insights and Vision X, Mr. S. Shivkumar, Head Industrial Design, Royal Enfield, and Mr. Prakash Onakal, Professor at Wellingers Institute. Yeah.
A wonderful afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the panel discussion. We're going to talk about GDP. Not the GDP, but the good design practice in the industry. So we welcome the panel members here. So I think the three presentations that we just witnessed, from Satish and Abhijit and also Alumelo, set the tone for, I think it has set the tone for the, the forum here. If you just try Googling good design, then you might get a lot of interesting, responses, basically, right? It'll start with possibly Dieter Rams, 10 principles of what is good design, right? Aesthetics, function, and how less design it should be, all of that. When it comes to practice, then it is a real business, yeah? So I think this panel discussion is just about touching upon some interesting aspects in good design practice in the industry. I think we have a good panel here. Shiva is from the automotive industry and also from the engineering aspect also we have Mr. Garodia. And also Kosto works on the artificial intelligence and other things. And Prakash also is into business of design, all of that. I think looking forward to a very good panel discussion here. So I'll start with possibly in the larger aspect of design as such. When we say design, it's a great intersection of art, science, and whatnot. Do we have textbook for design? We don't have, right? We just go all around. If you look at what Abhijit has done for his watch, he's just going about looking at architecture and then drawing inspiration from that and putting that into design to, tell a story. So it's got so many layers, right? It could be business at the end of it. But the aesthetics, the function, how durable, how reliable it should be, and most of all, possibly what exactly the story behind the design is. So in that context, probably could start with what, according to you, is good design coming from the automotive industry.
Honestly, thank you. And that's a very wider question. So we can't put it in a small basket about good design is and all. But there are a lot of parameters, I believe, part of good design. So right from like the desirability factor or the technical feasibility factor or the business viability factor. So everything have to be intact in a creation. So one of the key important thing is, say for example, we can see the emotional point of a design. So according to me, any creation is a unique combination of rational and emotional quotient. So everything have to have a proper and interesting composition of this. So a good design should have a very rational quotient in it, incomplete, as well as it have to trigger the right emotions in it so that it will be desirable or that's an excitement available in it.
Very interesting viewpoint. I think besides the desirability factor, I also feel that sometimes it's not about how desirable a product is. That's the ultimate thing. But sometimes I'm just using a whiteboard marker. When you open it, it comes with the nasty cellophane thing to cover the entire thing. And then you're not able to put it back into that, right? You can't leave it open also. I think you might have experienced it many times. So I think design is not just about possibly, one thing or two, possibly, as Shiva mentioned, the emotional aspect of it probably could be something about fear or anger or any emotion that we all have that has to be really accounted for during the design process. I think that could be a best design practice. Definitely, thank you for touching upon. And also, since you come from the Royal Enfield, and then we looked at fantastic model that we just saw. Yeah, so let's talk about, I remember one of the quotes from Charles Eames. He says, it's not about the detailing, but design is all about, that, right? In that context, could you talk about the detailing part, please?
Very nice point. So not necessarily from the model perspective, but from a design perspective, I see there are 4 stages of activities need to happen. The key point is actually creating an excitement. So at first level, the excitement should be for an idea. The idea itself should be quite exciting. So that's a number 1, stage 1. And in stage 2, the excitement should continue. The idea's excitement that should continue in the next stage of like getting into geometry or architecture or the layouting of any type of products. And the next further stage is the very critical stage of the detailing. The excitement should still continue in the detailing. So, and the final stage is something like while in use, in the term of performance. Say, for example, if you take motorcycle, if somebody tells there's an idea, okay, there's some sort of an off-road motorcycle which is not going to be like any other motorcycle, wow, that's quite cool. Then when we open it up, the overall architecture or the layout, oh, that's still further quite exciting. And that invites. And the next stage is actually the detail. When you go touch, the touch feel factor, the feedbacks, everything should make you to really, get into the product. Once that's where the buying decision also mostly happens. So once that happens, then after at the time of usage, so all the excitements, all the the quality, perceived qualities, whatever been happened, so have to be seen in the product in use, and that's where the completion of the whole things comes in. So the third and the fourth is actually to and fro. So the ideas and all already gone in, but once you start using it, the detailing should make you to still invite you to use it. And it's the third and fourth always goes forward and back, sustaining it. So detailing is such a critical parameter in any design, especially when you talk about good designs.
Sure. Do you have anything to add with reference to the engineering part of the detail?
Well, I will say that designing is very important in our life as far as anything is concerned, any product. I would connect it to I'm not an engineer, but I'll connect it to ease of living, ease of doing business. It's all connected with that. When we talk of any product, like we have heard all the experts here, they are all experts. And it has to be, first of all, viable, usable properly by the end user, whoever he may be, maybe me, you, or any other person. And the design has to be appealing, first of all. That is very, very important. When we open a product, I'm talking of a consumer points of angle, where maybe we are using in the domestic market or the export market. When a product reaches a customer, first of all, he will look at the product, how the packaging is there. So I will say that packaging is equally important in the, in the product development. As soon as the customer sees the product, he sees that the packaging is good, 50% marks are given. So that's a detailing. So the packaging has to be absolutely perfect. What just now gentleman showed us about the packaging, if wood dunnaging will be slowly going away, it is becoming expensive, and plastic or maybe PVC, other things will take over. So those detailings we have to go into. Like we export our products to furthest parts of the world, and we have to make sure that the dunnaging is very proper. Otherwise, the vessels are selling, there are transshipment, containers are put here, there, and all that. So it may get broken, cargo may get broken, it may get dismantled, anything can happen. So number one is that. Number two is, again, we talked just now, that design is an investment. So that detailing has to be looked into that way. It has to be an investment. We can't think if we are just paying money for a song. Ultimately, that product will come superior, good, and that detailing is really going to help us in the life again. Where the product ultimately will become more cheaper, more viable, and it has to be, design has to be very, very apt for any user. It can be cell phone, it can be a regular VCR, or maybe TV, whatever is there, but design has to be having an aesthetic value. That is very, very vital. So these detailings have to be done in that.
Thank you. Thank you. Just picking up from where you left in terms of usability, you said it has to be designed to be used for everyone. Every time we go into the kitchen, we deal with a lot of products, appliances basically, right? And look at a normal induction stove, which is convenient, but possibly how much of our thought goes into understanding situational disability, somebody holding a phone and cooking and you can't use just one hand and use it. Right? So in that sense, I think possibly the design becomes more important also, considering multiple scenarios. They make the design more substantial, in fact. And another interesting thing is especially designing for this generation or the generation that's coming up. So we see a great challenge there, because generation is growing up in a very, very sort of a situation where they're all looking at ChatGPT, and even for the designers looking at Midjourney and few artificial intelligence driven design process. And I would like to hear from Kaustav what his take on the innovation of the AI in design process in the industry.
In fact, me and Shiva was just discussing that if Indian way goes, that we may not have this round table because the timing is almost scheduled, because that's very humanly, you know. But when we talk about machine, I think it's about, not about a machine, it's about the fear of the machine. And that's the problem. You must have gone through a lot of such changes. For example, something of these we have not noticed. For example, how the whole photography has moved from a dark room into digital. And exactly the same way now it's happening with Midjourney and all the processes. At one time, photography was entirely manual. Imagine the photographers used to take photos without even knowing what's coming inside. And then when they goes inside a dark room, they might have seen that the light has leaked from other side. That was the beauty of photography. I come from a family where we run an institute of photographers and they hate digital. Anyway, but the whole fear is, I am seeing it's happening now almost similar. The same fears mathematicians had at one time when the calculator came. So my life became easy because I'm a numerophobic, so I don't like numbers, so calculator solves my life. But otherwise, the situation is almost similar. But if we take technology as an enabler, enabler of you doing those things which is time-taking and repetitive, then AI is a very good tool to resolve that issue, where you might have spent a day to go through images and try to collage this up. They does in a micromillisecond for you, and that becomes your base to think. So if you think Midjourney is your base to think, then it's a very good enabler for a designer to think beyond that particular stage. If you think design is to pick up a picture from Pinterest and sketching it down, then you are at threat. Because that space is going to be taken over by all those APIs, we call them APIs, where they create images in micromilliseconds. In fact, I was talking with one startup, they create 300 textile prints in 1.5 minutes, all copyright-free images. So what the textile designers will do for their t-shirt design? It's being done by machine. So I think designers should take this as an opportunity rather than a challenge, to take this up as one base up. So you don't need to do that base, you can go beyond that base. And that's where I think technology can become an enabler for a good design. Where we use technology, for example, ChatGPT can be used for creating beautiful write-ups, where you don't need to use your creative skills to write those things, but where you want to write something creative, we still require a human. Why? Because ChatGPT cannot create a new style of writing. ChatGPT cannot create another Shakespeare. ChatGPT can write things which is regularly used in daily life. So if you want to create your own style of designing, then Midjourney cannot do that. If you want to create your own style of writing, then ChatGPT cannot do that. So I think for the designers, the challenge is much higher level to be original, because to be original, you require a human being. It cannot be done by a machine, right? And that's where we are. I think a very good example is his miniature, where it has to be essentially handmade. There's no other option, right? You cannot 3D print it. Exactly, and it has to be a unique piece. That's where the machine cannot intervene as a part. Yeah.
So there was this time where people just spoke about product design and the experience and everything, but now we have gradually moved into a very service-driven economy and also startups. And that is possibly a huge disruption in the design industry also. I mean, design inside the industry also. And in that context, possibly Mr. Prakash could throw some light on.
Yeah, thank you, Balaji. I'll just share a bit where I come from. So when I started my design career, primarily we were hired to do the visual or the aesthetic part of it. So if you look at my journey, it covers all kind of avatars of design that I covered. And right from aesthetics to usability, to experiential design, to process design, to system design, to currently my role is to teach business design and innovation. Now, what I do here is that apply design thinking to enable and create some new businesses. Now, design thinking has been tried and tested in terms of getting the product design right, getting the process design right. But here I am applying design thinking to business challenges. Challenges which are related to marketing problems, challenges which are related to HR problems, challenges which are related to operation problems, challenges which are related to finance problems. Now, this being a new area where I currently work, before this I used to engage between product design, the engineering designers and the design field. Now I have kind of interfacing between applying design to solve the business problem. So a lot of businesses that require design thinking have been initiated under my guidance with my students. For example, one of the startup that I could recollect was trying to understand the challenges faced by taking care of elderly or patient who are at home. Now, if you study this and understand the challenges faced by the caretaker in the houses, you realize that there is a huge gap in terms of service provider for taking care of the nursing care at home. People who require long support at the home, elderly. So some of them came up with a nurse cure kind of a system. Now you have this business model or business plan which identifies the pain point through the design thinking process of empathy, define, ideate, prototype and test. So these are the very 5 buckets, and applying these 5 buckets you try to understand the challenges faced by the ecosystem and then probably see whether they can be converted into a business. So this is what I have been currently practicing and trying to promote in my role as a dean at Wellinger at this point of my career. Now I have seen this evolution happening even in industry also. Just last week, I was conducting training for a pharma company, training their business heads and marketing heads to understand and outgrow the challenges that their roles are playing. So redesigning the marketing, the way they look at it from design point of view. So you are kind of applying design thinking to intangible aspect of your thing, whether it could be service, whether it could be product. So this whole new, all these avatars that I have seen of design, currently business design and innovation has become the in thing, where you apply the same problem solving processes which designers are used to apply, but then the problems that you are applying to has been changed. So they are no longer just the product or the usability, but they are also in terms of the process improvement, design being used as a strategical tool. So this gives a totally new approach. I can also quote one example, like a couple of my students have come on Shark Tank. You must have watched the Shark Tank, which is very popular. They have come up with a lot of businesses and they want to raise the fund. Now all this is happening because they were initiated into design thinking process and applying of that. So for this, we have this approach of identifying the challenges, solving them, prototyping them, testing them, and see whether they can be scaled up. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's very relevant for the current time, definitely, yes. And I think in that context, our experiences with our everyday, products that we all use. On one hand, it could be a fantasy of a designer sitting in a studio and then trying to design something that looks flashy and also works well. At the same time, if you try to understand that the end user experience, their wants and needs and desires and experience, I think definitely this is a very complex subject, which is very difficult to be discussed in, like a 15 minutes time. But probably this could serve as a good trigger for all the, delegates and participants and also everyone here, so that how consciously we could put our minds together and through collaboration for a substantial outcome. And we're so glad to be here, sitting here and talking about good design, and which is very subjective also in fact. But I really wonder what is a good measure for good design. We could go about it, we could just devise something, but probably the more you want to reach closer to it, more elusive it is. But probably we should go unstoppable, in my opinion. But thank you so much for the panelists here for sharing their viewpoints. Any questions from the other side also will be possibly taken. Any viewpoints from? Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Balaji, and all panel members. So now moving forward, we are starting the opening of India Design Mark 2022 awards. And to start with, we have a special address by Ms. Makiko Sumara. She's a director, Japan Institute of Design Promotion. And we have this year she could not attend this session, and she has sent a recorded clip. So we are going to play the recorded clip from Makiko. Thank you.
Hello, this is Makiko Tsumura, Director of JDP, Japan Institute of Design Promotion, and board member of World Design Organization. I'm very honored to present the India Design Mark 2022 awarding ceremony today. Thank you very much for the invitation. JDP is the only public foundation in Japan that is responsible for comprehensive design promotion and an organizer of the Good Design Award, so-called G-Mark. The Good Design Award was established in 1957 by the ministry to encourage the capability of Japan's original design and make it more competitive in the global market. Upon the successful promotion of the growth of the manufacturing industry through design, Japan Institute of Design Promotion and India Design Council have been working very closely together and built up the India Design Mark system since 2010. Through the collaboration, India Design Mark winners are invited to submit G-Mark directly from second stage screening, skipping first stage. After 12 years, it is my pleasure that 25 products have been awarded as G-Mark from India Design Mark. The G-Mark, which is a proof of Good Design Award, has a high recognition rate over 80% in Japan as a symbol of good design. So it is especially effective for marketing. We also hear many success stories that the award winners received many inquiries or offers from other countries because the design received G-Mark and recognized in Japan. So we can say getting India Design Mark is a fast track to the international market. After the suppressed time due to COVID, the world gradually retrieves the normal track. Now more and more people are aware the importance of the power of design. India Design Mark is not just a design contest, but aim to show the good design standard as Japanese GMARK aims the same. I wish all the winners as well as the organizer promote the award and make the best effort to raise the recognition of the India Design Mark and good design. Thank you very much for your attention and congratulations again.
We convey our thanks to Ms. Sumara. Now we have address from our chief guest, Shri Anurag Jain, the Secretary, Department of Promotion of Industries and Internal Trade, Ministry of Commerce and Industries. He could not join this session and he has shared a recorded video with us. We are going to play that.
Namaste, greetings, good afternoon. Respected Mr. Praveen Naharji, Mr. Arun Kumar Garodia ji, Mr. Satish Gokhale ji, esteemed dignitaries of the Governing Council. It is an important occasion of Award of India Design Mark 2022 and it has reached its 11th cycle. India Design Mark is a major initiative of India Design Council. I wish I were there with you in person. I wanted to be there, but unfortunately due to prior commitments, I could not be there. As we think of Vision 2047, what Honorable Prime Minister Mr. Modi has given to us, that India be a developed country by 2047. And what we are right now in is what we call Azadi Ka Amrit Kal, journey of India from India at 75 to India at 100. This journey has to be marked by knowledge, innovation and sustainability. The manufacturing has to play a very, very crucial role. And for manufacturing to really pick up, design becomes a very important factor. Government of India had come out with Design Policy 2007 and because of that, 4 more new NIDs were set up. And now these NIDs are actually becoming important. They have started attracting talent. NID Ahmedabad, of course, is a long-standing institution with an importance of its own. As technology is evolving, as times are evolving, knowledge is becoming more and more comprehensive. Actually, knowledge was always very comprehensive. It is we humans who would divide it into parts and see it in parts. But with the evolution of technology, it is becoming more and more possible to work collaboratively and work in a comprehensive manner. Therefore, the design also has to have a holistic approach to reflect this. The design has to leverage technology for innovative products and solutions. Design has to evolve along with the technology and design has to integrate with the technology. As I said to begin with, that sustainability has become a very important factor. We are all aware that global warming is a big challenge and sustainability has become one of the most important agenda in the world. So our designs have to cater and to be socially responsible, have to be sustainable. Say for example, how can I reduce the waste in my packaging? How can I reduce the waste in my products? Or How do I make it sustainable? How do I make my economy circular? How do I create wealth out of the waste so that our dependence on new raw materials, etc., is reduced and the waste which we dump on this earth goes down to the minimum, or it actually becomes a net zero product. We need to look at that. Make in India is a very important program when we talk about manufacturing. But now we have moved beyond Make in India. We are targeting Make in India for the world. Therefore, we have to also keep in our mind what is the taste of global consumers. We have to think in terms of the consumers geography wise. Our designs have to cater to consumers of different areas. So that is something which we need to be conscious of while designing our products. When we want to compete at the global scale, we need to ensure the quality. And reflection of quality starts from the packaging itself, from the design of products itself. Quite possible with a better design, the life of the product becomes much longer. The quality or the failure rates, quality becomes better, failure rates go down. So that is also an important criteria for design. Another important goal for development is inclusivity. We want everyone to be part of India's growth journey. So therefore, MSMEs become very important. One district, one product, handicrafts, handlooms, GI products of the country, they become very important. Design has got a very important role to take them to the global stage. I am sure many of our colleagues here would be aware of the fact that we have taken a decision to use only ODOP items for gifting during this year, as India is holding the presidency of the G20. These products have been beautifully packaged, they have been carefully selected, and now these products will find their way to the homes of global leaders. When we design products, another important aspect for inclusivity to my mind is the utility for especially abled people. We have to cater to their needs. We have to be conscious of they are also a very important part. We need to ensure that they are able to use our products properly. We have to design for the masses so that the whole population gets included. Today, India Design Mark would be awarded to the new products. I congratulate all the developers of those products and their companies for getting the India Design Mark, which is fast becoming a trusted source of quality in India and at the global stage. I hope that today's conference will be a milestone in taking India forward in the field of design and making India a design powerhouse. I wish all of you a great success. Thank you.
We convey our thanks to Mr. Anurag Jain for his motivational words. Moving forward, before we announce this year's India Design Mark Award, we would like to invite our applicant members, Mr. Dhananjay Shahane, and Mr. Devesh Mistry, to say a few words, share their experience with us about the process, the India Design Mark. Please come. Yeah. Devesh, you can come this side.
First of all, very good afternoon to everyone, dignitaries of the stage and on the stage as well. A lot has been talked about design, but so far by the domain experts as well. So one of the being practitioners, the main striking thing which I find this time is actually a physical interaction and face-to-face discussion. I think this was the most valuable thing which we go. We have been used to the virtual world for some time. Talking to the designers, understanding the juries as well as the end users is one of the most important thing. I think the other India which with India Design Mark which I find here is collaborative work and early engagement with the clients. And I am really honored, and I felt very happy with the two nominations what we had, as well as the IDEX people whom I did one project for. Knowingly, unknowingly, we developed the product which is actually future ready, as well as ready with the potential of the export market from the India. And we'd like to hear more and more stories of that. If possible, maybe one of the representatives can talk about the real numbers, what they have achieved during the tough time of COVID and post-COVID. So maybe I don't have the real numbers, but maybe if I'm allowed, I can ask Jimmy to just come and talk about the numbers, what the story talks about, and how the product is really good in terms of design. And so Jimmy, please.
So thank you, sir. And so we started our journey in 2019 when we were having the new product development department at our industry, and we started with the thought in our mind that we should develop a local for a local, and then global, as just member secretary just explained about that. So when we started, we were developing the product for the green energy, right, saving the energy, and we were able to save the. So we have launched this product in 2021 in mid of COVID, and we were able to save $1.2 million just by replacing certain technologies with the new technology, and now this technology is getting grip on the global market. So that's the difference, that these products are coming up, and we are also in the journey of making new products which will be catering to the global green markets. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Devesh, General Manager at Godrej Interior. I look into office furniture. So, first of all, as my colleague said, the physical part is excellent. I think the good design jury needs to see the products. So it was becoming very difficult to see the products online in video and to explain that. Secondly, I just want to say for all the organizations who have applied maybe newly in the past couple of years. So I would like to say that I mean, we have been associated with Good Design and India Design Mark since its inception 11 years back. And it has been a journey. It has been a journey for improving the attitude in the design studio. In fact, as a part and parcel of our design process, now we kind of sometimes think that, okay, what would a good design jury member would say onto this detail? You know, that is the kind of aspect that we have in our discussions. We have set certain parameters, certain checklists that we see when we have those stage gate processes in our design. So that is something that has really helped to create a pleasant kind of a culture and an attitude in our design studios. That is one. And lastly, I mean, of course, we are aiming for good design. Godrej & Boyce also is a recipient of good design. At Interior, we are also aiming for that. And it's been a very nice experience is what I would say. And I believe that the team that works for Good Design also does it very sincerely, the entire coordination, getting the products over here. So kudos to Sanjeet, Nahar sir, and the entire team of IDM. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Yeah, thanks.
And Mr. Swapnil from Blue Star, can you please come?
Yeah, good afternoon, good evening rather, everybody. I'm pleased to and honored to be part of this event, exhibition, seminar as well. And it's really a kind gesture that Nahar sir and their team has allowed us, past participant, because we won virtually, so allowed us to be here and present our product. So That was a really good gesture, and thank you for that. Actually, Blue Star team had 2-3 times applied this thing products. Third time, and third time the 2019 we won IMARC. And the journey, the application, right from application to the scrutiny to the stage 1, stage 2, has really taught us the importance of the particular this, how we have to think about design, and what really is takeaway is to make our product successful. We have to think right from material selection to the till dispatch, means how customer will perceive our product, how he will initially open. So and of course installation and use it. So it was a really pleasure, and we are definitely looking forward. Within our company, there are different verticals, and I hope there will be definitely healthy competition within our company looking at this, and that will definitely bring a lot of good design for us, for India. Thank you.
Thank you, Swapnil. So moving forward, we have reached to a stage when we have to disclose the names of the organizations who have given India Design Mark 2022. And to do this, I would like to invite Professor Praveen Nahar, Shri Arun Garodia ji, jury chairs Satish Gokhale ji and Prakash Anakal ji to come on stage. So we'll be announcing the names of the organization and the product, and we'll request those who are present here can come here and receive the certificate. Yeah, Sanjay? Yeah. So we will just show the products, and then we will ask you to share. Okay.
Just asking people, not showing the product. But generally,
Mic, please. Cordless mic.
Hello.
So it has been an interesting experience, we as a jury members and organizers, to be part of this and meeting everyone physically. Good design is a recognition, and I think it's more of a spirit of how innovation design happens within the company. And whether you get it in one go or not, it's not important. It is important the spirit of innovation and design carries forward, and we keep on improving and excelling in this endeavor. And we hope that many more categories and many more many more entries will come into this thing. We have had a tough time from last 2-3 years. We could not do a physical event because of COVID, but I think that's a great new beginning, and we will take it forward from here. So I would like my colleagues on the dais who have chaired different groups, maybe just giving a 1 minute kind of experience of their idea of it. So somebody like Satish has been involved for many years from the inception of Good Design, and also part of Design Council for many years, and Prakash also. And so we'll just take a small few seconds bit.
First of all, congratulations in advance to all the winners. And the people who have not received it, it's not that, it's not a good design, but, it can be a shade better. So take it in the right spirit is what I would say. One good thing is, over the years, we've been seeing a rise in number of applications. Unfortunately, we were hit by the pandemic, but we hope to see more entrants. What was nice is to see, besides our usual Godrej, Whirlpool, Titan. There are other companies who are also looking at getting a good design mark. So that's something which is very important. It is encouraging to see engineering companies with their products coming in for a good design mark. So wish you all the best and keep doing good work is what I would say.
Prakash, you would like to add something?
Yeah. So it was a pleasure to be part of the jury and chairing it. And one of the challenges was that we received very interesting entries, and each of them was equally good. And it was a tough challenge for us to shortlist them in terms of recognizing them with a good design award. So we had a 5 points or 5 criterias. I'm just going to read them. In terms of user potential, we kind of arrived at some grading them, then aesthetics, then differentiation, technical excellence, and social responsibility or sustainability. So these were the broader 5 categories or factors through which, criteria through which we tried to judge them. And wishing all the best to all the participants, and also thanking all the companies which have sent their team and their products to India Design Awards. Thank you.
Thank you. And also one of the thing is, if you get the recognition today, you're allowed to submit your entries directly in the second stage of G mark, which is Japan mark, I think, which is as per the understanding between India Design Mark and G mark, it is there. So please do contact for any help or more information regarding that. I would also like Mr. Arunji to say a couple of things. If what is his observation?
Well, I would like to congratulate all the award winners. As Satish ji mentioned, जिनको award नहीं मिला, they are not the winners. They are super winners, I should say, because now they have got the zeal to compete. They will make the designs better and they will come forward. And I'm sure next time they could be the winners now. So this design concept started by India Design Mark Award and Good Design. This has really been a great go for our country, wherein we can really achieve very good heights. Today, when we were watching as a jury, we saw good products coming in. It's not only the top companies, the medium-sized small companies, they also started displaying their products and they want to go for India Design Mark. That is really very heartening. And this is really going to take us ahead in the business, whether it is the domestic or exports. So I once again congratulate all the award winners for coming here, for taking their awards. Thank you.
Thanks. So over to Jitendra.
So now we are announcing the awards.
So can we have that presentation? Just first slide. So we start with the announcements. The first one goes to Durian Industries Limited for Aero Director Desk. अपन उधर चले जाना है, रुको, पीछे से उधर चले जाओ, पीछे खड़े रहो। Second one, Geekan Seating Collection Private Limited for Workstation. Can we have a round of applause, please? Then we Godrej Interior for Agilo Medical Trolleys. Next. Next. This is Godrej Interior Posture Perfect Chair Range. No, please go back one slide. This. Please go back. Yes. Next. Move Up Godrej Interior. The product is Move Up. Okay. Next. Again, Godrej Interior for AIM Activity Desk and Amigo Storage. Okay. Next. Once again, Godrej Interior for their Optimizer Plus. Next. Godrej Interior Shine Chair Range. Next, this is a different division, which is Godrej Locks and Architectural Fittings and Systems. Avian Mortise Handle. Please come, sir. Avian Mortise Handle, Godrej Locks and Architectural Fittings and Systems. Thank you. Next, again, Godrej Locks and Architectural Fittings Systems for Flow Mortise Handle. We have one more for Godrej Locks and Architecture, which is Vruksh Mortise Handle. Vruksh. Thank you. Next is from Wipro Enterprises Private Limited for their product Levitate. Wipro Enterprises Private Limited. I guess they are not present, so we'll just keep the certificate. Next, again, it's Wipro for their wonderful product called Lift. Okay, next. This is Havells India Limited. Havells for their product Havells Zella Immersion Rod. Havells India Limited. Yeah, they're coming. Havells Zella Immersion Rod, Havells India Limited. Thank you. Next, again Havells India Limited for their Havells Bianca water heater. You can still stay. We have another from Havells India Limited, which is Havells Magnetron water heater. Let's keep clapping. Thank you. Next is from Wipro Enterprises Limited, Focus Plus. I think Wipro is not present. So we go to next. This is also Wipro Enterprises Limited for Express Bay Pro. They are not there. Next is IDEX India Private Limited for their product EOD odd pump, EODD pump. Please come. Let's have one more round of applause for them, please. Thank you. Again, we have Godrej Locks and Architectural Fittings and Systems. The product is side shutter lock. Godrej Locks and Architectural Fittings and Systems. Side shutter lock. We have one more from Godrej Locks and Architectural Fitting Systems. Next, which is Catus Hotel Lock. Please join the team. Thank you. Next, we have Havells India Limited for a wonderful Lloyd Elant washing machine series. Havells India Limited. We are almost coming to the end. 2 more to go. Havells India Limited. Lloyd Elant washing machine series. Thank you. The next one is a very wonderful ring from Titan Company Limited, Samave, designed by Ms. Hema Malani. Malani. A ring designed with stepwell features. And the last one, Titan again for the ring Zoya Poetic Solitaire. Mr. Dora. Thank you. So with this, we come to the end of the awards. I'll call upon Jitendra. Thank you, all the members on the dais. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Congratulations to all award winners. And Sanjit, I'll request you for the last concluding remark and thanks.
So towards the conclusion of this session, I would like to thank all the members present in the hall, all the applicants, all the members who joined for the Good Design seminar, all the winners, and all those who could not make it for this time for the IMARC award. But I'm sure with the interaction with the jury members, there might come from some changes in your design. And towards concluding, I would like to thank the jury members who took out time from their busy schedule and gave us some good pointers for the entire jury for 2 days. And I would also like to thank EEPC, Mr. Arun Kumar Garodia, for supporting India Design Council with the India Design Mark Awards. I would also like to thank Ms. Makiko for the association from Japan Design Promotion India Design Council. And lastly, I would also like to thank National Institute of Design and Mr. Praveen Nahar, the director, for supporting with the layout of the entire pavilion of India Design Council. And lastly, thank you, Jitendra, for supporting us. with the entire seminar. Thank you so much.
I would like to say that when we were putting together this exhibition, we decided not to hire any agency, and the entire exhibition was designed by the third year product design students and executed by second year product design students from NID. And our faculty Naeem Sheikh, and I am a director of National Institute of Design, and my office team Sanjeet and also Somu, who have been sort of working hard to make this possible, and I think communicating with all of you. So I think thanks to them also. Thanks.
Okay, I was told that we have some mementos from EEPC to facilitate the speakers and the jury members. I'll call upon the name and I'll request Mr. Arun Kumar Garodia to please come and facilitate. To start with, I'll call Mr. Praveen Nahar, Director NID and Member Secretary India Design Council. Let's clap. Mr. Abhijit Bansod, Founder and Creative Director, Studio ABD. Ms. Alamelu Pashupati, Business Ideator, Carbadum Universals Limited. Mr. Satish Gokhale, Director, Industrial Design, Design Directions Private Limited. Mr. Satyashilan G, Vice President, Design Styling at Ashok Leyland. He is not there. Thank you. Dr. Kaustav Sengupta, Director, Insights, Vision Next. Dr. Kaustav Sengupta. He is also the professor for NIFT, Chennai, National Institute of Fashion Technology. Mr. S. Sivakumar, Industrial Designer, Industrial Design Head, Royal Enfield. Mr. Mahendra Chauhan, but he has left. Mr. Prakash Unakal, he is also left. That's it. Thank you, sir. Can we have the jury team on the stage so that we have a group photo? And maybe the winners can also join in. All the winners and the jury team on the dais, please.
You are the boy. Come. So we have an association called TRIAD.
Please see the exhibition. Shivaji, shall we decide to meet in our booth?
Yeah, we can do that.
So we'll be independent and we'll come to Lalu at 6.
Yeah, even I'll join you.
We'll just come for luggage and push up.
Yeah.
क्या हुआ जल्दी क्या हुआ